Today, we really got an exciting topic for you. It's called Building Corporate Culture That Wins. Because you're not going to do this by yourself. You're going to do it with a team of incredible staff and personnel that are going to support you and back up your effort. And what you want to build is an unstoppable team, and do it using the NDFC model. If you got a great model of your own, bless you, certainly use it. But if you don't have that method at your fingertips right now, hopefully by the end of this session, you will. Our goal here is to build you into an unstoppable leader of the people that will bring your company to that level of success that you envision for you and it. So we're going to talk today about building a corporate culture that wins. And first, we're going to discuss why culture matters and matters more than strategy. So you may think you're brilliant, you got a great strategy, you got a great product, you got a great service, whatever it is you're going to build that business around. But I want to implore upon you, what matters most is the culture you build, because the culture you build in your company is what's going to determine whether it's all a success or not. You're not just building a business. You're building a culture of success. Strategy will tell you what to do. Culture determines how people show up to do it. Your culture, if you structure it right and you use it correctly, will be your greatest recruiting tool for new personnel. It will be your greatest sales tool for convincing your customers that you're the company they want to go with. It'll determine the full level of success of your business. And so paying attention here today is essential. In an age of disruption, culture is your ultimate edge, the source code of execution, trust, and momentum. All those things are built into what culture will do for you. At NDFC, culture is not an accident. It didn't happen accidentally. It is designed, reinforced, and lived. And that's what makes it a powerful reality of NDFC. Let's talk first about the foundation, which is vision, mission, and identity. NDFC has a vision, and that vision is what gets translated down into the culture that's going to produce that vision. And the vision for us is to lead the globe in wealth creation through strategic acquisitions, unlocking the full potential of business entrepreneurs and capital stewards to create a world of infinite abundance. That's the vision. It's big, it's global, it's commanding, it's dynamic, it's designed to motivate the instincts of everybody that comes in contact with our company. And that translates into the NDFC mission, which is to provide essential knowledge, connections, and actionable pathways that empower entrepreneurs to fulfill their destiny, achieve their vision, and create a richer, more abundant human experience for all. Now, those to the right people that we want to have as part of our company, that we want to have as part of our client base, these are very poignant principles around which to build our company. And a key takeaway here is our vision isn't just big, it's infinite. That demands a culture where bold ideas become engineered outcomes, not someday, but now. Think of the structural impact of what I'm sharing with you right now. Does this sound ordinary to you? Does this sound like companies you've been associated with in the past? I don't think so. This takes a whole new leap upon the essence of a corporation as a consolidation of people, their abilities, their instincts, their motivations, and aligns them towards a shared outcome that, if achieved, makes life better for everybody and that everybody can get excited about. What this means for your culture, it means that you will have, when you develop this in your own life, a clarity of purpose. Everyone must know why the company exists beyond making money. Making money is not enough anymore. People have had their fill of companies that are money driven. They want to be part of something bigger, better, that brings out the best in them, that targets them towards the best of what they're capable of. And that's the clarity of purpose that you want to bring to your company. Shared identity. NDFC team members are not employees. We refer to them as titans of M&A, co-creators in a wealth architecture firm. See, nothing ordinary about that. We're very clear on why we and our people are special. Cultural anchor. Language shapes belief. Phrases like, we're goldfish, eat sharks. This is how we refer to ourselves. Partners in business acquisition. That signals our DNA as scrappy, smart, and frankly, unstoppable. Our core values drive everything. And NDFC culture starts with values that aren't printed in the handbook. They're practice in every transaction, partnership, and conversation. We live it. We build radical partnership. We don't build companies. We co-build with others, the others being buyers, sellers, brokers, investors, advisors. In other words, every constituency that we touch is our partner, and we see them as that, and we treat them in that everyone wins together, or we don't play. Engineered abundance. We reject zero-sum thinking, where others have to lose so that we can win. We don't accept that. We add value to everything that we do. So there's more, the pie is bigger. We don't fight over scraps. We architect scalable outcomes. And this is why our acquisitions multiply value through roll-ups, strategic aggregation, and IPOs. Every step of that process adds value that can be shared so that we all can win together bigger. We don't see ourselves as having employees, only owners, whether it's a pivotal partner acquiring a business or a board member guiding strategy. Everyone thinks like a founder, and we try to inculcate that into every single person who becomes a part of our organizational structure. Bold action, smart risk. We don't wait for perfection. We engineer models like our double escrow close and our blind pool SPEs that break convention to unlock untapped opportunities that no one else is equipped to do. Integrity in complexity. We navigate high-stakes deals with layered structures. That demands trust, confidentiality, non-circumvention, alignment. We operate on principle, not just paper. Merit wins here, publicly and financially. This is part of the alignment. You can't just say stuff. You got to integrate it into your structure. Performance is rewarded visibly and tangibly. We tie success fees, equity, acclaim, and opportunities directly to outcomes, not politics. People who deliver get recognized and enriched. Mutual respect and moral support are a backbone of who we are and how we get things done. We cheer each other's wins. We back each other's struggles. At NDFC, we give moral support, not just management support. Respect is the minimum. Recognition is the norm. These are important human, tangible behaviors that, if applied in an organization, stimulate everyone to reach their optimum productivity. Team spirit is a paycheck multiplier. Our best outcomes come when we lift together. Collaboration is not just encouraged, it's rewarded. We allocate bonuses based not just on what you achieve, but how well you collaborate while doing it, because in the collaboration process, we are all stronger. At NDFC, merit gets paid, support gets noticed, and teamwork gets banked. It all comes together with teamwork. How to apply this in your company? First, define the non-negotiable behaviors behind each value. Hire, promote, and fire based on values, not just skills. You have to make adherence to the corporate culture, what people depend upon for getting hired, being promoted, and if they don't live up to it, getting fired. Because if you don't do that, that culture doesn't really come together in its full light. Celebrate when values are lived out. Call it out publicly. Acknowledge it to people during meetings. John, you were phenomenal in how you supported us and your team leader by doing X. You make it visible. Structuring for cultural execution. Okay, the NDFC way. What is it and how does it work? Our organization is composed of specialized functional teams that drive results within clearly defined domains. For example, we have a search team that goes out and finds the business. We have an acquisition team that evaluates the possible purchase, decides whether we want to go forward on it, structures the deal, and gets the documents drawn. We have a funding team. We have a team for each and every sequence of what has to happen to get the final result. So every one of those functional teams, we know what drives results and we reward it. Each team lead is responsible for both performance outcomes and cultural alignment within their function. We hold weekly check-ins that focus not just on KPIs, but on collaboration, respect, and merit-based recognition. You got to recognize when people are on track, and you have to, in private at the very least, realign people if they're not holding to the values and the cultural system. Every role has defined ownership, autonomy, and accountability, with growth encouraged through mastery of what their functions require. We use titles for us and our people. We have titles for our team. We call our team Titans of M&A and Wolf Architects, which reinforces identity and purpose. Those titles are not ordinary. They're functionary. They're descriptive of somebody who's a master of a necessary process. And that's the way you want to go into your business. You want to recognize every process and identify titles that highlight the essence of what those titles mean when they're actualized by your team members. Compensation structures are engineered to reward both individual contribution and team-aligned collaboration. So that's what gets rewarded. You can always tell what a company's values are by what they reward, who gets bonuses, how and why, and what you bonus is what you value. For best practices, team leaders equal in your company culture champions. Each team leader owns both their KPIs and their culture. They own it. They're responsible for it. They get rewarded for it when it works right, and they get admonished, at least in private, when it doesn't. We conduct weekly syncs. Every team meets weekly, not just for tasks, but for shared ownership. We want everyone in our organization feeling like they own their functions, they own their positions, they own their results. Role clarity, autonomy, and mastery. People know their lane, have freedom within it, and are expected to grow. So your expectations of your people, set them high, because people will aspire in this environment to reach your expectations and fulfill them. Low expectations create low productivity. Cultural design tools. Sometimes people refer to me as being alive during the Paleolithic. And so my memory goes back a very long time, which is frankly an asset, because I've been able to pull upon it all these years and look at patterns of success and then consolidate those patterns into the businesses I've built and acquired. Most of you probably aren't old enough to have a memory of 1952 when Disney first formed Disneyland. And he coined the term Imagineers when referring to his creative team. And I heard that back in 1952. Now remember, 1952, okay, I'm like 8 years old. But at 8 years old, I still had enough of a sense of the world around me and things that were imagination invoking that I heard the term Imagineers, and it struck me on what a special way it was that Disney identified the key players in what enabled him to create Disneyland at the level that he did. And so that term stuck with me, and it got integrated not as Imagineers, but as special ways of languaging to recognize people's importance and give them a sense of specialness. So a very important concept. And it doesn't matter how old you are when you learn this stuff. Just, put it in the gray matter there and learn how to resurrect it when it bears on what you want to accomplish. But having said that, titles that inspire identity. What do we use here? Titans of M&A, wealth architects, acquisition engineers. This is the way we refer to our people. We don't have normal titles for the things that we do here. We have titles that expect exceptionalism. Narrative language. Here's the kind of narrative language we use when we're talking to our potential pivot partners, our partners that we're going to help acquire a company. We're going to help them escape the middle class. We're going to show them how to work with people where they build a cosmic bond that strengthens the relationship that ultimately produces the highest level of success. How to use business models like strategic aggregation that multiply and propel the values of businesses you bring together, and how they are all phrases that frame the game we're playing and separate the game we're playing from the game that everyone else is playing. Mission-aligned bonuses, from success fees to commitment credits, compensation is tied to aligned results. Everything here is merit-based. You perform, you get paid well. You don't perform, don't expect that big bonus. Why? Because everything here is developed on a merit basis. Everybody who's performing is paying anybody who isn't. And that's unfair after a period of time. On any given incident, somebody might not have performed well. But what in the aggregate are they doing? Because at the end of the day, the people who accomplish results pay for the people who do not. And we don't allow that to happen. At NDFC, we've institutionalized these cultural symbols. Opening team emails with identity. Every team email I send out to our team starts with, "Hi, Titans of M&A," reminding the team who they are. Celebrating milestones with meaning. Every closed deal is not just revenue. It's new wealth created. It's a new person who's got his own business. It's a new person who we've empowered to set the world on fire with their creativity, knowledge, and business acumen. Webinars that educate and align. We put on webinars, training for our own people, and we train them from the insider advantage to how to select an industry. In other words, what are their functions? How can they do it better? Every session advances both education and the corporate ethos that I'm discussing with you here. It's all about keeping the culture in proximity to everyone who's part of the company. They see it, they feel it, they taste it, they live it every single day. And if they do, they're rewarded, and they're rewarded well. We go out of our way to produce shout outs to all hands, to everyone, weekly, above and beyond recognitions. If somebody's done something and it's clear that they've really done something, they put in extra time, they did extra research, they brought in an unexpected resource that we hadn't even identified, but somehow they reached out and figured out that this resource could get the job done or help us accomplish it. Well, we don't let those go unrecognized or unnoticed. We want everybody to know what they did and revel in their ability to reach out beyond the norm. Merit-based bonus pools where standout contributions and team wins get financially acknowledged, not just by team, but company-wide. In other words, there are shared wins, just like there are shared responsibilities. Team win celebrations. Closing a deal, it's not just for the lead. Everyone who moved the ball gets a claim and a cut. It's so important that we all win together. All right, what can you do to build your own company with an ethos, that killer ethos that will take you to the highest levels of success, that will build your team and its collaboration and its cooperation ability to win beyond anything the competition can even contemplate? Well, it's important that you build rituals around wins, around onboarding, around transitions, when people transition from one role to another. There's a ritual involved that's congratulatory. It provides recognition. It provides motivation and stimulation to others who want to experience that for themselves. Use consistent cultural language in all communications. You're going to have special languaging within your company that are aligned with this culture that you're building and help to stimulate it and create that ethos that people together using that common cultural language and having a similar speak that perhaps maybe they're the only ones who really fully understand creates a bonding and a uniqueness within the company that becomes very, very powerful. Reinforce desired behaviors with visibility and recognition. Don't just do it in private. Do that recognition visibly so that everyone can see it, and inside they acknowledge the experience and also want it for themselves. It's a natural human condition to want things like that and to work for things like that so that they happen for themselves. Cultural pitfalls to avoid. This is another part of the importance. One thing to know, well, what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? Why is it important? Well, that's good. But there are pitfalls out there. There are cultural pitfalls that you want to avoid. Let's take values without enforcement. Posting values, but not living them creates cynicism. Once you post the values, once you put them out there, you want to be sure you live them. Because if you're not living them, everybody gets cynical, and then they have a reverse effect rather than the effect that you had contemplated. Hire slow, fire fast, especially when culture is at risk. Culture is so important that it's the one thing that I will fire quickly regarding. If something is interfering with building the corporate culture and maintaining the corporate culture, I cannot have that energy around, and I become a very fast firer when it happens. Over-reliance on charisma. Now, I hate saying something like this, but people tell me I'm charismatic and that I have a weakness in being charismatic, and that sometimes I'm the only one who can do a certain thing because it requires a certain amount of charisma to do it and get it done. However, when you're building a company, culture must outlive the founder, right? So if you're a charismatic person, you can't build the company around you. You got to build it around the team. And you can't rely on the fact that you might be charismatic, or even one of your super rainmaker stars might be charismatic, because that person may not be with you forever. So at the end of the day, you have to build your company where your culture outlives you or any of your stars. You have to build systems, language, and rituals that embed it beyond personality. All right. It's got to be a culture that everyone could grasp onto, with processes that everyone can function within, that the team spirit and energy comes together and delivers it regardless of people who are there that are superstars or not. All right. So it's a key element of building a business that has a future. Next pitfall is culture is fluff. In other words, I hear a lot of times people say to me, well, Gordon, culture is fluff. It's nice. It's good that we all get along. But at the end of the day, the business just has to make money, and you have people that are doing well and you reward them. You don't worry about the culture. You just hire people that are superstars at what they do. All right. Wrong. Culture is strategy. It is execution. The best strategy will die in the wrong culture. Another pitfall is overlooking quiet excellence. Sometimes the loudest get noticed, but not the most impactful. At NDFC, we deliberately look for superior effort and achievement even when it's not broadcast by the person who did it. We specifically work with our team leaders to make sure they're recognizing on their team those quiet souls who need recognition because they're delivering but quiet about it. And you're rewarded accordingly. All right, in closing, I want to talk about building a culture that creates legacy. You want people to bring their A game. Start by acknowledging it, okay? I want to say that one more time. You want people to bring their A game to your company. You don't want them sitting there not fully engaged. You have to start that process by acknowledging their A game, what they're capable of, and acknowledging it when they exhibit it loudly, tangibly, repeatedly. So this is not a part-time effort building your culture. It's core to your business. It's something that demands your absolute undivided attention. It's something that demands a priority place in your thinking process, in your building process. It's not a happy accident that's going to occur. And here's how we institutionalize that. Reward merit visibly and often. Reward merit visibly and often. Bonus allocations tied to contribution. Public recognition across meetings and channels. Advancement opportunities for consistent performance. You promote the great guys to the next level that you believe they're capable of. You don't bring people up to the next level because they failed at the one that you had them at. So you're hoping in the new level, maybe their abilities will come to the fore. No, the advancement opportunities are for consistent performance where you believe that their advancement to the next position will be equally well handled by them. You need to model yourself, model respect and support, encourage peer-to-peer recognition, train leaders to call out excellence and effort, build a culture where everyone is seen, not just the high profile. You want to celebrate team spirit with real rewards. Shared success equals shared rewards. Deal wins include team-based and cross-functional bonuses. We fund success, not just tolerate it. At NDFC, and now it's your company, the culture we build today becomes the company we lead tomorrow. Let's make it a company where winning together isn't just a dream, it's policy. NDFC doesn't just buy businesses. We build a new class of entrepreneurs. We build success ecosystems. We are a new model of private equity and a new definition of wealth. A new model of private equity and a new definition of wealth. That's how we build ourselves. We're not a company with a culture. We are a culture that created a company. That's the NDFC way. So this is my call to action to you. Whether you're a founder, operator, or investor, you're either building your culture or it's building itself. Choose intentionally. And if you want a model, a blueprint, or a partner in building that, you now have the formula. So take what you learned today, internalize it, research it more, adapt it to the specifics of your company, and go forth and multiply. All right. Questions? Anybody have any questions? What was the biggest mistake you made while building the culture of your company? The biggest mistake that I made, I think in any company I've ever worked with, was not putting that front and center in how the company was going to function in the future. And so the culture started building itself, and I didn't like the way it was building itself. So I had an intervention, and I had to make what you're hearing today a front and center in the model. So the biggest mistake you can make is not paying attention to it, thankfully. Anthropologists agree where there is no language, there is no culture. Everything, guys, is about languaging. Listen to politics today. Turn on the TV, turn on the radio, go on the internet, listen to social media, listen to the languaging that parties trying to promote something try to change. This may not be the politically best the one to use, but I'll use it because everybody will know it. Illegal aliens became undocumented migrants because the Democrats, frankly, changed the languaging to suit their narrative. And once they changed the language, they put power and strength behind their narrative. Now, I'm not asking you to agree or disagree with political parties or what they do or how they do it, other than to demonstrate to you that languaging is important. It frames how people are going to see themselves. It frames how people are going to see the objectives that you have. It frames everything and puts it in the best or worst light for what it is that you want to happen. And words matter. Words matter. And how people see things matters. And languaging affects how people see things and how they'll act accordingly. So pay attention to the languaging within your company and how you refer to your people. How do you refer to their tasks? How do you refer to the vision of the company? How do you refer to the mission of your company and each of the team players that's part of accomplishing the mission? It's huge. It's huge. And if you're going to build something of enduring value, if you're going to build something that's going to create significant or massive wealth for yourself, you have to do this. It's not voluntary. It's obligatory. You have to do this. Yeah. What I'm sharing with you right now is so elementary to the business. It's so essential to the business success. It's so overlooked by most people. They just dig in, roll up their sleeves and say, I got to start making us some money. Well, you got to do that. I think it was Sun Tzu who said something to the effect that tactics without strategy is foolishness. You're going to fail. You've got to put your tactics in a strategy. You got to put your strategy in a culture that's going to achieve the strategy, right? And you can't ignore this stuff, because if you ignore this stuff, you're trying to build something with half the pieces. And the pieces aren't going to come together unless you're embedding all this in a basic corporate culture that's designed to succeed. So the things that I'm sharing with you today are absolute essentials. And the biggest takeaway from today is pay attention to the culture you're building, or the culture of the company you're buying. If you're buying a company, you're probably not going to come into a culture that is this mature. You're not. Okay. They had some level of culture that maybe did some of these pieces or is sufficient to bring the company along to the level that it's achieved. But if your goal is to take that to a whole new level of achievement, then you've got to become a culturology engineer. Okay. You've got to look at that culture that's there. You've got to analyze it, assess it. What's there, what's not, what needs to be done to it to align it with the full measure of your goals for that company. And then how do you work it so that you get buy-in from every person who's employed or works within or that company serves, to get them to understand and to buy in the new culture, why it's going to take them to the promised land, and why they need to get behind it. And more importantly, why they need to own it, why it needs to be them. They need to be an integral part of it, which makes them an integral part of the success, which enables them to be well rewarded for the efforts that now they're going to make going forward. And recognize, recognition is something that's also understated. They've done an umpteen bazillion studies, psychological studies, of why do people assert themselves at their work. Well, pride is one of them. Okay. They have a pride of themselves and what they're going to accomplish. But then at the end of the day, they want to be either paid for it or otherwise recognized for it. And otherwise recognized simply means that somebody says thank you, that somebody publicly gives them the acknowledgement of what they did and how they asserted themselves and the sacrifice that they made and the benefit that that produced for everyone else. When you do that, there's an enrichment to their inner soul, which is something that money can't even buy. And it's part of what makes people extraordinarily loyal and anxious and willing to assert themselves in ways that an ordinary employee who works 9 to 5 and lives for his weekends isn't going to match. Okay. So if you're going to do something beyond the norm, you got to pay attention to culture. Can we borrow the wording of this presentation for our sales pitch to business sellers? Absolutely. This is why I share it with you. I'm here to help you. Now, I'm here to help guide you towards how to build the best and most advantageous company possible, not only for you, but the people that you bring under your umbrella. So when I share these with you, it's for everyone's mutual knowledge. And it gives me great pride, and it's a great privilege for me to share these things with you. So yes, go for it and multiply. Hopefully this was transformative to your thinking, as some of our stuff tends to be. I know it wasn't the typical stuff that we try to work with here, which are techniques and methods of financial leverage, but this is people leverage. And it's frankly more valuable even than financial leverage, because if you've got a really dedicated and motivated staff of people, if you've got people who are applying their all and taking ownership of their functions, if you got people that are collaborating and cooperating with each other for the team win, and if you are providing the compensation and recognition that they so well deserve, then you've got a tiger by the tail. And just get out of the way, because you are going to be unstoppable. Your team is going to innovate like crazy to solve the problems. The ability of multiple people to innovate as opposed to you having to provide the innovation yourself is huge. It's a multiplying factor of your business's capability. And I just can't say strongly enough, pay attention to your corporate culture. It's the key to success, the highest possible levels. I really appreciate everybody being here today. I appreciate your enthusiastic questions and comments. I look forward to seeing you again at the next one of these webinars that we do. Until then, I wish you all the best of success.